I'm Beth Ann Smith, and we've been talking about what the Bible has to say about government. Now, last week we talked about pagan governments and how the hallmark of pagan government is that it believes that itself is the most important thing, the state is the most important, and that the people that it governs exist to support it and to serve it. And we've also said that a Christian government is one in which it believes that it's the least important, the people are the most important, and that the state exists to serve the people. So now I want to look at some of the things that God established for Israel as he was bringing them out of the nation of Egypt. I've studied with a lady named Lana Cope, who's also in Youth with a Mission. She wrote a book called The Old Testament Template. And she says basically that Israel, coming out of the land of Egypt, is the biggest refugee camp you've ever seen. They've got nothing. They don't even have food to eat. God has to provide it for them in the form of manna. They don't have water to drink. They don't have a form of government. They have no system of education. They have no religion. They've only got this sort of vague idea that there was a God who used to care about them, and now he's doing some crazy things to lead them out of slavery. They've got basically no artistic culture. They've got nothing. They're a big refugee camp. They're just a big rabble. And so God is giving them laws, and he's establishing things for them. He's establishing a system of worship. He's establishing a system of education. He's telling them how to run their families. He's telling them how to do a good economy. He's telling them how to do good government. And one of the things that happens is the guy who's leading them is a guy named Moses. You probably know this. In Exodus 18, his father-in-law comes to visit the camp. He hears everything God has done. He's so excited, and he worships God, which is the most intelligent thing to do when you hear what God has done. And he sees Moses, though, and how Moses is functioning. Now, the Bible would tell us there's about, you can estimate, around 3 million people in this camp. It's crazy rabble who have come out of slavery. They've got nothing. And all day long, the people line up for hours to wait to talk to Moses and say, hey, my neighbor stole my chicken, or whatever. You know, they've got all of these. You can imagine 3 million people with no system of government, how many issues they've got with one another. So they're standing there all day long waiting to see Moses. And Jethro, his father-in-law, who's a very smart guy, looks at it and says, this is crazy. You are going to die, you're going to wear out, and these people are going to wear out because you alone are not enough government for them. That's basically what he's saying to him. You can't provide for all of their justice needs. So he suggests to him that they have a gradated system, so that Moses appoints leaders that will serve under him. If any case is too hard for them, it'll come up to Moses. So there's leaders of 10 people, and there's leaders of 100 people, and there's leaders of 1,000 people. Now, in the book of Deuteronomy 1, this story is repeated. And in Deuteronomy 1, you get this fascinating sort of a twist on it, where Moses is telling the people their history. It's the generation that's about to go into the land. It's the next generation. So he's telling them what happened before. And this time he says, basically, that he said to them, you choose your leaders, and I will appoint them. I will put them in authority over you. He gives the responsibility to choose the leaders to the people. These are people who have nothing and who know nothing. They were given the responsibility to choose their own leader. They are ready. That's what Moses and God both think. They are ready to choose their own leaders. So I think that this is kind of a hallmark of a Christian government as well. It's something that God established, that people should choose their own leaders. Even after Israel gets a king, you'll see that they do not, no king gets to be king until the people agree that he gets to be king. David, for example, served as king of the tribe of Judah for a while, and not the rest of the tribes. Until the people accepted him as king, he only got to rule that group of the people that wanted him as king. So even after there's kind of this much more top-down thing, which God did not want, read 1 Samuel 8 and you'll see that God did not want that, still the people are responsible for agreeing that this person will be their king. You'll see it in the life of Saul as well. So let's just read some of this stuff from Deuteronomy 1, because I think that there's some real keys here for us to understand how God wants government to function and what his heart is towards justice. So in verse 13, Moses is basically giving them the mandate to choose their leaders. He says, choose some wise, understanding, and respected men from each of your tribes, and I will set them over you. You answered me, what you propose to do is good. So the people agreed. This is a great idea, Moses. And then he says in verse 15, so I took the leading men of your tribes, wise and respected men, and appointed them to have authority over you, as commanders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens, and as tribal officials. So he lets the people choose their own leader. Why is this important? It's important because they know the leader. A, they will know who can be trusted in their tribe, and B, because they will live with the consequences of who they choose. That's basically the case. God wants them to learn that their decisions have consequences, that the things that they choose, if they choose somebody over them that just happens to look good or speak well or have a shiny outfit, I don't know, they will live with the consequences of having chosen unwisely. And that is only right. So in verse 16, and I charge the judges, this is super important, I charge the judges at that time, hear the disputes between your people and judge fairly. Whether the case is between two Israelites or between an Israelite and a foreigner residing among you. You can see that they are building a government on the basis of which God told them to, which is that all human beings were made in the image of God and have equal value. So it doesn't matter whether you're a person from Israel or whether you're a foreigner. You deserve the same level of justice. Verse 17, do not show partiality in judging, hear both small and great alike. Do not be afraid of anyone, for judgment belongs to God. Bring me any case too hard for you, and I will hear it. Again, don't judge on the basis of whether someone is an important person or an unimportant person. Judge fairly. Don't take bribes, he says later. In other words, you are accountable to God as a judge. God is the one who has established you there, and the purpose is justice. Judge fairly. Don't worry of what's in it for you. Don't think about, like, if I do the favor to the important person, then, I'll scratch his back, he'll scratch mine. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to judge on the basis of what is right, whether the person is strong and important, can do you good, or whether the person is weak and poor and can't do you any good. And that is what God established for Israel. And you can assume that if he established it for them, important can do you good, or whether the person is weak and poor and can't do you any good. And that is what God established for Israel. And you can assume that if he established it for them, that it's something that he would like for us as well. This is just really basic. He's giving this group of slaves who are just coming out of Egypt, don't know anything, the responsibility to choose their own leaders, and telling the leaders that their job is to judge with absolute equity, with absolute fairness, according to the law and not according to what will do them some good. So God is establishing a Christian form of government. Next time, we'll look at some more of what God established for Israel.
Well, thank you for watching this week's special edition of Activist Academy Weekly. Don't forget to check us out on our website, www.activistacademyweekly, to get the latest information on blog updates, as well as taking advantage of our free academic resources, as well as our free community organizing trainings and biblically based trainings, and of course our unique and dynamic social networking tools that are specially tailored for Christian community activists such as yourself. Well, until next week, this is Keelan Blackwell wishing you a good day and good night.